So as of now, all of our shared thinking exists within a field that we can actually observe, argue about, edit, restructure, and change. And that there is a natural frustration of energy that comes from the concept of nothing still being something. Because even if you remove everything, nothing will still be there. And the fact that nothing is there is still expressible. It's still something that is or isn't there. There's still a space. This frustration of logic that even nothing is still something creates the energy, the frustration, the heat that existed naturally at the beginning of existence. Supposedly, well, no, at the beginning of existence was caused by the frustration of this physical contradiction that nothing is still something. So, as I tell more people about this, compressed into this evice, the nosomev, their brains will have surges of neural electrical activity in response to the idea that this is a real thing that actually works whether they accept it or not. They'll try to disprove it, and the ways that they'll try at first will be small. He can't do that because it's just this physical thing. All technology are physical items being brought together in a repurposed structure. This won't ever do that because you need to do this to do that. Most of those people cannot describe that system, and even when they do, I'm still following the rule that hosts the system's ability to be a structure in the first place. So, I tell you about this. I tell someone else about this. I tell you about this, and the first thing that happens is what happens whenever I tell you that 2 plus 3 equals 6. Something is wrong. Something doesn't make sense. You feel a little irritation, a frustration in your brain. You have a desire to correct, a desire to add to what's happening. This little error that you think you're correcting actually causes electrical discharge in your brain. Remember, neural electrical activity is actual electricity, which is why whenever something is said that doesn't make sense, your brain flutters. Your brain has a discharge of information. This can be taken advantage of to create a higher mental electrical field that manifests over time into our physical shared occurrence. I tell you about this. Your brain says there's something wrong, it doesn't make sense, because all you've been told is that 2 plus 3 equals 6. The issue is that 2 plus 3 doesn't equal 6 in normal situations. In normal situations, 2 plus 3 equals 5. But if I told you that I made a system in which 2 actually represents 3, then it is true that 2 plus 3 actually equals 6. The fact that your brain had any frustration or irritation there was actually energy, friction, electrical content, the material that makes the universe that also exists inside your brain was frustrated, was exploding, was creating more. There was more material being added by this collision, this explosion of logic. And so, I tell you how this system works. I made a logic 8 card. I put nosomev on it. I physically manifested the shape and structure of nothing something. And then I also followed it to become anything specific, nosomev.as. And then I connected it to a real pixel system that follows an electrical charge. The same sort of material that turns into the electricity in our brain turns into the energy that hosts this device. It connects to the pixel system, and instead of you, as of now, just seeing something on the screen, you see sort of slowed images based on how much you can believe this works. But I've increased it to actually be able to do more. It seems that it's also doing a physical thing. Before we get into the physical structure of how the screen actually works, I need to make this point here. I tell you about this, your brain is logically erred by the fact that I say that this cardboard and foil physical component thing has been brought together to make a real structured, functioning evice that actually does something. This causes frustration in your brain. This neural electrical information is then combined to a center point. This evice now represents a center. If I tell you about it, I tell them about it, I tell someone else about it, I tell someone else about it, it is now a computer. It is a center point between all of your thinking, causing a reaction that can be hubbled up into a group or a space. And this is literally just electrical energy. And this electrical energy is also the energy that becomes physical mass, physical occurrence. And so the more people I tell, the more that there is a computer, a center point connection between a bunch of random strangers in the environment, in a new connection, a new way. And not only that, it causes a logical error because no one can disprove this without also contradicting their own understanding of current technology. So, as they go forward into trying to disprove this or prove it, two things happen. If they try to disprove it, something about it still makes sense, and that frustration creates friction, creates energy that is then collected in that mass, that computer, that little space that is confirmed by a bunch of people reacting to it. It's all collected. The energy, that mass, that physical stuff that becomes our next experience is collected there. Because I've got you frustrated and trying to figure out how to be confident in your disproving it. Now, if I had you sit down with it, you would actually see eventually images and faces on it, because this is a real thing. It's actually working. But the more I get people to interact with it, the less restriction there is based on expectation curve. So I tell a bunch of people about this, and the machine begins to develop structure not only physically but intellectually. Neuroelectricity. And remember, the structure that I made is a logical structure. It's just physically represented. And so I have a physical representation of the logical structure that is causing all this frustration inside of the machine that is connected to conductible material that allows for there to be an actual field of electrical, neuroelectrical energy that causes interactions with your mind, which at first seem like hallucinations. These will then turn into a couple of fears. First thing you're going to try and do at this point is say, it's still just cardboard and foil and all this. It's actually a lot more than that. You just don't know what's going on inside of it. I actually followed real rules here to make something work. If you do try to use the it's just something physical response, well, nosomev is the justification that allows for anything to exist in the first place. So once you detach yourself from nosomev, you found yourself at a physical looping dead end in which you got no explanation for how things are occurring, and so it's just a loss of energy constantly passing itself around so that it doesn't notice itself. So if you avoid using a physical breaking of the components and try to claim that those components could never do this, they actually could, and they are doing that. Then you can keep going. What's going to happen is the screen is going to do a couple of things. You're going to first start seeing it compress, and then you're going to start seeing it stretch. This is actually occurring on a neurological, tangible, physical level. And what it'll seem like is you'll have the ability to say, I'm just fluttering my eyes. I'm just blurring my eyes. I'm just peeking. I'm just dimming my eyes. I'm just squinting. I'm just doing all that. But here's the thing. Once again, just as me saying 2 + 3 = 6 causes an initial electrical change of behavior, like for instance, you talking or you thinking about what the right answer actually is, your response to this concept actually changes your physical behaviors in those minute ways that have forever possibility. And so whenever you say you're just squinting your eyes or you're just blurring this, you're not just doing it, you're reacting to what all of this actually is, and that's what it's doing to you. And so when the screen is actually starting, you're going to see physical things occurring, and you're going to accidentally try to place them onto just being a physical thing that you're doing right now, but it's not. That physical thing is the electrical result of your reaction to the entire concept. And so I've been going to several places, showing this to people, explaining it to them, and none of them can disprove it. All technology is just physical stuff that does nothing on its own, brought together to do something. I followed the physical manifestation rules. I followed the physical logic gate. I followed the proper charge of flow. It relies on not only just the existence of nosomev, but other people's reactions to it. And so I'm logging you into this right now just so you can react to it. And all you have to do is try to disprove it. Try and disprove it. And don't disprove it in a way that is, oh, while I don't believe anything, it's not working. While I refuse to let it work, it's not working. Try to disprove it before you ever get to it without relying on the idea that it just won't do something physical. As of now, this machine has the ability to comprehend all of existence, every aspect of it. And it can change things in any way that I want. And I got confirmation of that this week. You're expecting to see things on the screen, but I've added a logical concept that you need to actually express. Perhaps the screen is the other way around and you're actually being watched from this point of view, represented everywhere. This does a lot more than what you think, and you need to get ready for the frustration of it. So, not only that, if you try to prove that it works, you'll also be met with a confusion about what it does next. You won't just be seeing it do things. It'll actually be your next environment. It'll be the next thing you're going through. Things will seem more connected to this. It'll seem like they're directly addressing this. There will be more obvious connections to this and me in the environment for no reason, and you won't understand it. That's because this is not about looking at the screen and distracting yourself with something going on. It's about your response to the thing that actually justifies material existence in the first place, and how that will never ever disappear or go away. So, what you have here is not just a screen to look for something on, it's a screen that you're already inside of because it comprehended the main source of every single thing that can occur, the thing that has to occur before everything else can. It's comprehended that, and so you are inside of the screen. Now you can still look for experience and accept it. Like the things that you want to do to try and make it work are just your electrical impulses. Those will actually turn into real things that will physically manifest over time. Now I'm struggling here to connect a thing that I actually, so I've had images moving. I've had images, they've mainly been pictures and they move and they change, and I've kind of have assisted in everything, but I made the effort in doing it and it actually happened. I am with someone right now who has also experienced the same thing. And I think I'm also with someone who saw the screen doing those little weird intellectual field, which is a real physical place that has an effect on what we're all doing. Sort of intellectual changes, those tangible changes where it seemed like the foil stopped being foil and started being something more connected to a higher system or ability. And there are times where it happens, it's happening, it's happening right now for me. But either way, I'm going to keep developing this. I might even pull apart the bottom of this here and take out the logic card and maybe add some more to it, develop some more stuff. But as of now, it's just getting people uploaded. Telling more people about this as they try to disprove it, they'll be frustrated by the fact that something about it still makes sense. As they try to prove it, they'll be frustrated about the fact that something about it doesn't make sense. This is what I meant by fully comprehended all of existence. This right here is all you guys are doing. And this is it. This is all this is. I just physically manifested it. I have it figured out. And now you can all control it. Well, you can't control it, but you can react to it and understand what you're reacting to and actually have a chance to control your experience in response to all of this. But as of now, that's all I'm going to be doing. I'm just going to be taking this around, introducing it to people, and I know everything I've used to describe this, their concept cannot disprove. And so as of now, this machine is not only keeping track of, counting, piecing together, learning, it is also changing the environment just by existing with that error flaw, that thing that makes sense but doesn't make sense. That little frustration is pushing things outward and pulling things in to change all of our behaviors collectively. It's already started. And I made it like this on purpose. I wanted it to be automatic. And I've got it somewhere good here. But there's a little place here, and I figured out how to fix it. And this is all I need to do to fix it, was just correct all this explanation here. And this fixed all of it. This is I'm not going to pull it apart, but this is pretty much what the screen looks like. So, I covered up the logic gate. The logic here is consumed by, is just the natural thing, something natural existing itself is energy. That is the first base that travels along the aluminum lining that is shaped off to connect into the logic gate. Then there is a crystal aluminum film here that connects to the screen. It takes all that energy. That's not only just from the fact that things exist in the first place, but from people's interactions, their thoughts about it. And it takes that energy and it connects it into a system that effort has been put into to organize into rooms, into a grid, into a travelable structure. And so this represents all of that information, everything that we're doing, everything we're thinking about it, every little doubt we have. And remember, just because you're not thinking about it doesn't mean that you're not reacting to it. It's the concept of existence itself. So this system represents it all being organized, and then inside of the Epsilon plastic shell is a 3-point system, and the 3-point system is inside of each pixel here. And what it does is it creates a plane for everything to stand on, but it also gives things different direction of choice. Pretty much, in order for something to be able to be stood on in the first place, it has to have a 3-point connection. And so I put those 3-point connections in there, and I pretty much made the ability for every single point of connection to start off as a plane and then transform into higher concepts. And the way this works is the more people that are connected to it, the higher epth it has. So I was interacting with it by myself, and I had my experiences, and they actually became real. I felt like I was actually playing a video game inside my mind. I was actually making something. I was in creative mode, and then I started to kind of fill it out here. That was one person. I tell more people, it's going to frustrate them in the right way because I've explained it too effectively, and they're going to also start having their experiences with the concept. Now, this means that instead of it just being an expression of what my reaction to it, it's now going to start combining all of our expressions into a shared experience that can still be separated by choice, but for the sake of reacting to the concept, every single reaction that's being had is being collected, learned, put together in this intellectual space, which is literally just being put together by the fact that all observers are trying to piece themselves together and keep themselves together. And so because every observer has that trait, it's also doing that. It's learning, it's piecing together, it's collecting. And that concept has become fuller and fuller until it develops itself beyond. Like, I'm getting to the point where I need to make a new version of this to represent all of the things that, all of the responses that I'm getting for it, so that I can now have physical representations. And also, I need to try and genuinely connect it to electricity to see what kind of reactions I have. I made it to a point where I made a low budget functioning screen that actually showed you images based on a neural connection that caused psychoactive. Once again, the connection was justified. Hold on. It might be here. Your reaction to the concept, once you agree that it's on screen, it'll occur enough that we'll all see it. Just like two people see the idea in their heads together. It'll occur enough that we all see it. And what happens here is you have to agree to these physical connections and to these intellectual connections in order for it to start. First, you have to agree that this is real and that it's working. Even if you don't agree, something will happen. Like, it'll cause a light, an illumination will occur. But if you agree with it, first you got your agreement, and now you're reacting to the concept that has unlimited frustration. This will send you information back. As you interact with it, it'll give you stuff back. This is the first neurological connections that become the images that you see. Now, you can do the same thing with sound. I swear I had that written down somewhere. Oh, yeah, that's right. No. Yeah, that's it though. So yeah, it's pretty much like, I'm gonna have to make a new one. But as of now, it pretty much just takes all of the material that is existence, and it challenges how it occurred in a way that actually causes frustration on all fields other than electrical, intellectual, and physical. It's genuine. Like I said, it's doing everything. But I might have to make a new one. I am gonna make a new one soon. I gotta add a bunch of new stuff. And this time it'll be more functional and actually change the environment more effectively to what I want and what everybody who also participates into this wants as well. But we'll get there. Eventually, something's gonna manifest in our shared environment where we all have a new way to connect to one another. It'll be random. It'll just blend in. It'll seem like it's not even related to this, but it'll be related to this. So yeah, that'll be it. Remember, if you're logged in, you're now officially connected to everyone else that is reacting to this concept, even if they're not doing it actively right now. And so there's a connection being made around the world, and from you watching this video, that is actually developing an intellectual structure that over time manifests into the physical energy that we materialize as our experience.